Hello, hello, and welcome back to Happy Time, Happy Money podcast. And today we have Jordan Papulias. He is a young private investor who has been actively investing since 2018 in both the property and the share market. He wants to reach financial freedom at a super young age so he can enjoy doing the things most people cannot. And we will find out what those things are right now. Welcome, Jordan.
Victoria, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I am so curious to know what things people cannot do and more about you. How did you start it? What got you started? Just everything. Everything you want to share with us.
So I think the main thing I'll start with is, I guess, who I am. So for guys who don't know me, I'm basically a guy who's trying to break down the investing world through my Instagram account. So what I've learned is that even though investing is becoming somewhat popular now, information is so widespread, I still find that people dipping their toes into investing is somewhat daunting. And it's almost like an unknown world that we didn't get much exposure to in school. And that's understandable, right? Your capital is at risk, so people have the right to be cautious. Although I believe through education, especially when you realize the long-term compounding potential of the market, the riskiest thing a person can do is not invest. So that's just sort of what I'm trying to do. So on my page, you'll find investing lessons, strategies, and ETFs and stocks that I like. How did I start? Wow. So I would have started at a very young age. My dad himself was a private investor. Every morning would wake up, watch the TV, watch the share market news. And even though I didn't know what was going on, all I saw was just prices and up and down. He would still get me to write down the prices every day on a piece of paper. And even though there's like no utility in doing that, I think he just wanted me to get involved, and he wanted to show me, I guess, the benefits of investing, and he'd always show me his portfolio. So I guess you can say from a young age, I was pretty fortunate to be in that position of having parents who were already investing, and they could just shine that light on me a little bit. I was actually pretty hesitant to start in stocks myself, given what happened in 2008. My dad, he used a margin loan, and we know that they can be very dangerous during corrections. And he was unfortunately margin called, and a lot of what he worked for just petered away. So, when I wanted to start in shares a few years ago, some people in my inner circle, they weren't too fond of that idea given what happened. But there's definitely a much safer way to invest in shares that doesn't involve leverage. So, so that's what I'm doing now. My first investment was in 2018. I bought a property in Sydney with my sister Alexa. That's done magnificently well so far, and I really can't complain with that. Today, I run a portfolio worth around $100,000. I'm investing in themes I see growing over the next few decades, such as cybersecurity, Asian tech, lithium battery technology, and so many others. So I'm really, really into it now.
Wow, so curious. When you started to share a story, I was thinking, well, you're like, when did I start it? And I was like, probably not when you was born. And it sounds like when you were born, you actually started. And then you're
I
saying it,
yeah.
oh, my dad taught me when I was super young. I was like, damn, why did I have that thought? So funny. It's so
I
amazing. So lucky.
he, he's always been that influence, and he's always been pushing me in that right way. But at the same time, I think I've really taken it on myself, and like I'm a massive nerd on this stuff now. Like I just can't get enough of the content. So yeah, definitely lucky to have that influence there.
Awesome. So how people can start when they're not born with this awesome parents that teach them stocks, net prices every day and stuff. Like
Yeah.
where do you start? How do you start?
Like I said, like information is so widespread now, and that itself can be daunting because it's like, where do I start? There's an article for everything, like why an ETF is good, why an ETF is bad. So, when they say like the best way to learn a language is to live in another country, and you'll just pick it up, right? So for the last couple of years, I've been listening to investing podcasts, I'd say nearly every day without failure. I know that seems like super nerdy, and you probably don't have to do the same, but I just can't get enough of the content, right? So like podcasts like Seven Investing, Motley Fool, the Investors Podcast, the lessons that you get from these guys, and by the way, for free, I can't thank them enough for that. And like, not only that, if I ever get stumped on anything, you can simply just tweet these guys, investing professionals, and they will tweet back. Like, take advantage of the technology a little bit. Like it's never been easier. But if you're not into podcasts, where I actually got started was a book called Getting Started in Shares for Dummies. Everyone is a dummy when they start something new, so I wouldn't be too afraid of the title. But I learned a ton of foundations from that book about, what a share is, what a stock market is, and basically how to invest, how to get started. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love this advice. It's definitely you can learn the language if you live in another country. I'm the example of it. And
So
the
true.
same you can learn the investing being in the industry. And absolutely, you get to be
Yeah.
with a baby mindset when you're starting something.
Yeah.
So where would you start like right now in 2021? You said about ETF stocks, and so what
Mhm.
is your favorite, and what do you believe it's going to bring some
Mm,
awesome things to the world?
that's a great question. I guess if I was to start again today, I would just be looking at what's happening. I mean, the trend shift to e-commerce has been obvious for many years now, and especially with COVID. So I'm like, okay, like I can see the data, I can see the research reports, which you can find online. Okay, let's find some businesses that are like market leaders in that segment. And the same goes for cybersecurity. Like I'm just trying to look at the macro shifts in the world. We're obviously seeing a big shift towards clean energy now. And I would be trying to look for the market leaders in those industries. And if I can't find them, or if I don't want to take on that risk of investing in just one stock, then you can just buy. I'm sure you'll find an ETF, which is exchange traded fund, that would cover that market. So you don't have to try and pick a winner. You can just buy them all, so to speak, and really enjoy that tailwind, I guess.
Awesome. What
Yeah.
is the one mistake you wish you've never made in investing?
Overconfidence.
Oh,
Overconfidence. When I first started in shares, I think everyone has this idea, and I spoke to my friends about this. They started the same way. Is that you, when you start in shares, sometimes you might feel overconfident when the market drops, and for some reason you look at a stock and it's dropped like let's say 30% over a few months, and without any work at all, you just say, you know what, I reckon it's going to go back up, right? And you just buy into it, and then if people ask you why, you just say, oh, I just got a feeling, right? It's just complete BS. Like if you don't do your work and your research, especially on specific stocks, you're not managing your risk well. And I made a lot of good investments, but there's a couple that didn't turn out so well because I didn't do that initial work. In saying that, those mistakes are pretty valuable to me because now I know not to do them again, right?
absolutely.
So,
We
but
all
in saying
learn
that,
from
yeah,
something. We always get to have some lessons to learn from.
yeah,
And people
yeah,
say there's no mistakes, but don't sugarcoat it. It's a mistake and you learn from it and we go moving forward, it works in any way. And the last question that I have for you is to
yeah,
filling the blank in a sentence for me, please. If you
sure.
really knew me, you will know that I am blank.
If you really knew me, you know that I'm real. I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but let me finish. I'm basically on my investing page. I'm doing this really just to help other people. I'm not there trying to sell courses. I'm not trying to make money from you, and I never will. I really want investing to be democratized and accessible to everyone. The main reason for that is when I first started investing, and I realized how amazing it can be when you invest for a very long time. The first thing I said to myself was like, shit, how come I didn't start earlier? And I want other people just to get to that point a lot sooner because time in the market is everything. So if you really knew me, I'm real.
Thank you. Awesome. And how can our audience find you?
How to find me. So right now I'm just on Instagram. I have promised to make TikToks. I just haven't got around to it yet.
Fun.
But my Instagram is at Jordan Invest
And
with
we will
an
link
S.
everything in the show notes. Even though you're watching or listening to this episode anywhere, just scroll down and there's going to be a link to our episode webpage where you click, and there you will find video, audio, transcript, and all the links that we mentioned in this episode. And thank you so much for watching or listening. Leave a review, subscribe, or rate, or whatever, like it, whatever you find this beautiful piece of content. Thank you so much, Jordan, for coming over, and I'll see you everybody on the next episode.
Thanks,
Bye.
Victoria.
Bye.